Yo, Ma! Who's hyped? That was so sick! Woo! Yo, Ma, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the very last episode for Season 1 of the PAC Show for Season 2022. Man, I'm so sweaty. I am so pumped. I'm fizzing at the bunghole. I'm so excited to be here. As per usual, I'll run through it. Proudly brought to you by the Pig Athletic Club and Double Take Sports, the show that brings you all the highlights, lowlights, reviews, previews, news and interviews from rugby here in Australia and around the world. We are doing something crazy today. We have changed the game. We have revolutionised the sport of rugby here in Australia because we are bringing you the QPR Presidents 15 versus the Reds Development 15 simulcast alongside the Reds broadcast with our own little bits and bobs and all this sort of stuff. We've got interviews. We're going to have reviews. We've got a telecaster. We got Zach on the ones and twos as per usual. But tonight in studio, or this afternoon, sorry, we had Dallin as per usual, but alongside him, Benny Lucas. Yes! First time in studio for Benny. Benny, how you feeling, man? You pumped?
Pretty good. I mean, Anchorman, eat your heart out. It smells like
It's loose,
mahogany in here, I tell you.
It's a good setup.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's not very deserving of us, but it is a very good setup here at the Double Take Studios. But as we were saying, this is a complete revamp of everything you've ever seen, Dal. Today, we've obviously got the game live, as you can see in the top right corner of the screen there. But we've got Andrew Swain from Stan Sports calling in. We're going to have Michael Atkinson, Channel 9 sports reporter, calling in, having an interview throughout the game. We're also going to have Chibba Hansen joining us in just a few minutes to have a yarn as well. But also, we've got Dos mic'd up, running water for the QPR Presidents 15. How good is this?
Yeah, it's very exciting. I think the most exciting part is Aiden Toa, obviously, on the sidelines there. He'll be interacting with the players. He'll be talking to the coaches. He'll be giving that little bit of perspective that we don't normally get just watching a game live. So excited to hear the insights from him and see how it's all cracking.
Oh, mate, I am so pumped up to be able to watch this game. And we've seen it go. It was meant to be at East up until about 4 or 5 days ago. I don't know whether it was Mad Monday or it was awards night, but unfortunately the fields weren't in good nick now.
No, obviously they copped a bit of a bog. A couple of trucks got bogged, I think, moving some stuff across the park. But we're here, and it's a beautiful, beautiful day at Norse, and what a place to come and play some rugby.
And as we were saying just before, we do have Dos mic'd up. And he is going to be running water for the QPR Presidents 15. We'll try to tee him up so that we can get a feel for what the crowd's doing down there, see if he's had a yarn to a few of the coaches and a few of the players. Zachy boy, have we got Dos lined up? I think we do. Dos, can you hear us? You there, Dos?
You got me there?
Yeah, we got him! We've got him, Dossie! Yeah! How good's this, Dos? How you feeling, man?
Just wait. I'm just going to... Wait, let me just test that. Wait, can you guys hear me with the microphone down?
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
Have you still got me?
Yeah, still got you.
Yeah, got ya.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I don't think I need that.
Oh, here we go. Yes!
Boys, exciting. Here we go. We're down here. The boys are just about to run on. We have, mate, the crowd's been building slowly. The atmosphere feels good. I had a quick chat to Craigie before game. The second week of prep has been much better. They got through all the contact, all the detail last week. So this week, is just reviewing where they think they can improve. And the positive thing was he thinks they can go to another level. Last week was all about learning the game with each other. So this week, they think the combinations are there. I spoke to Pilsy also pre-game. He's really confident going into this one. So, mate, I think we're going to see the Presidents 15 really turn it up here today.
Mate, that's awesome to hear, and we've got Damon Murphy out there. He's going to be reffing the game for us. But have you got wind of sort of how the boys were feeling after last week's game? High-scoring affair, but we spoke about it in the PAC show earlier this week. It looked like the combos were a bit off. Are they feeling a little bit better since having that extra sesh?
Yeah, 100%. I think last week was a bit of the unknown for everyone, as we've just got kickoff here, guys. And last week was a bit of an unknown to the guys, the new law variations, how they'd go together. They definitely feel a lot more comfortable this week. They've got a few different ways to approach the game, keeping up with the new law variations and just feeling more comfortable. Pilsy was saying he's, with a couple of the key forwards, as we see an early turnover with the development 15 on hot attack. But just feeling a lot more comfortable with a couple of the forwards. The backs are clicking. I really like the look of the Presidents 15 backline today with Tommy Lucas in there at 12. I think he offers he offers something different there in terms of the attack, a different point of difference. So, yeah, mate, really geared up for this game.
And just on that, Aiden, obviously with the guys in the back line, can we expect, a real expansive game from this President's 15?
Yeah, I think judging by their warm-up, it looks like they're not going to spend too much time trying to get through this res development pack. There was lots of ball movement, lots of play out wide. I mean, Taylor Adams at 10, he brings that to their attack this week. And obviously I mentioned with Tommy at 12 as well. So I think most definitely when they do get their attacking opportunities, and let's hope they get a lot today, we're going to see lots of ball movement.
Awesome, Dos. Thanks for tuning in, brother, for phoning in, brother. We'll keep you on the blower just every now and then, and we'll get your thoughts on it. But, yeah, keep those boys hydrated, Dossy boy.
Have we got a try there?
Jeez, you did well to get
Has he awarded that?
Yeah, try time.
Straight off the bat.
Mac really goes over
Straight
again.
off the bat, mate.
That is
Beautiful
ridiculous.
touch there from Tommy Liner.
Have you had a chance to have a yarn to any of
Nice
the
little chip
Reds
over the
development
top.
coaches or players, Dos? Their thoughts on this? You've got Mac Greeley. He's playing, I guess you could say, out of position at 12. Do you know if that's more just trying to give him some game time in a different position, or...?
Yeah, mate, no, look, to be honest, we've been trying to sort out our mics here for the past 20 minutes, the past half an hour. I will try work my way over to the Reds development side and try get a bit of insight as to what their thought process is there. Probably just something different. Look, I'll try to get more information. What I actually need to do is probably get some water bottles in my hand and start feeding the water to the boys.
All right, Dossy, mate, we appreciate you calling in. As I said, we'll keep you on the blower every now and then, but get back to work, brother.
Too easy, guys.
Cheers, Dos. Let's just a round of applause just for getting that over the line. That was absolutely awesome. For those that don't know, we have been going Godzilla behind the scenes here, and Zachy Boy's been putting in a hell of a shift to try to get that going, and it worked out beautifully to be able to get Dos in the blower. But, Benny, I mean, we have a mic'd-up water boy coming straight to the studio. How good is that?
You can't ask for more.
That's the best. That is ridiculous,
We'll get the blow-ups, we'll get everything.
But, I mean, look at this. 3 minutes in, Mac Greeley already... That was Tom Line and Mac Greeley, two of the best youngsters in the game at the moment, putting on an absolute clinic. That's free-flowing footy, Benny.
Yeah, I mean, Dale said it, that beautiful bit of touch there with that kick. I mean, they tried a few of them last week that didn't quite come off.
Yeah.
But, for one from one so far today, it was really good.
Yeah, it's good. We saw it last week with Lawson Crichton. He was obviously exceptional off the boat. This week, obviously, they've identified it. There's space in behind, especially attacking that line. We'll see a few more as the game progresses. And
Zachy Boy's just given us word that joining us, former Wallabies, Queensland Reds, Melbourne Rebels and Gloucester hooker Chibber Hansen has phoned in and is on the blower. Chibber, are you there, brother? There he is. Chibber!
Hey.
How you doing, mate? Is he frozen? Oh, no. We're off to a screamer. Oh, no, he's dropped out. We'll get back to Chibber, but as we said, we do have Chibber. He's going to be tuning in. But, I mean, Chibber himself, he's a premiership-winning UQ skipper from 10 or so years ago. Reds premiership winner. He's obviously played over in Europe, played here in the Melbourne Rebels. He's a very well-established footy player, but started all at UQ. Started at school with you, actually, Ben.
Yeah. I mean, me and Chib basically grew up together. He's one of my best mates, and yeah, mate, it all started back in the red and black, and yeah, we sort of done a fair bit of it together. But yeah, he's been all around the world. He's an exceptional player, even better bloke.
Well, we'll obviously ask him, but he was for mine, he was a massive loss early on when he decided to go overseas, Benny. To lose a player of his calibre must hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it's and that's the thing. It's hard to sort of keep everyone, but when you lose a guy, not only with his skill set and around set piece and whatever, but just a good team man as well. He's so good to have for young boys. He's so good to have for your team morale and everything like that. So losing him to, obviously for any team is difficult.
All right, now we have got word that Chibber Hansen has finally dialed in. You there, Chib?
Hey fellas, how are
There he is, Chibber Hansen joining us. Yes, live. Sorry, we're very excited. We're trying a lot of new things here today, Chib, and it's going very well. But Chibber, how you doing, brother?
Hey, Yeah, good. I'm just moving house, so maybe it was Optus with the connection letting us down a bit.
Oh no,
jeez.
this could be an absolute
plug,
shit
Rob.
show, but we'll see
Taking
how
my
we go.
details probably as well.
Don't worry, mate. Don't
Can
worry,
we
mate.
get
You'll
him
be
some
all
more
good.
bandwidth?
Yeah, we'll give him some of our bandwidth. But Chip, mate, we were just saying. Obviously, you've had a very storied career yourself. You know, through UQ, through the Reds, through Melbourne Rebels, then to Glossy, and you came back to the Rebels again last year. I mean, you've been all over the world, but we touched on it just before. 10 plus years ago, you actually held up the Hospital Cup as the skipper of that UQ side. It must be pretty cool to be able to see something like this President's 15 being brought in to be able to get a bit of a rap for the young blokes out there.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's kind of that Queensland has over the province is just the depth that they've got in the state and the quality of the competition. You know, everyone's probably previously said that the Queensland comp is not as strong as the New South Wales one, but I'd probably argue that and say ours is, you know, if not stronger now. So it's good to see that everyone's getting a shot, and you know, with players leaving and whatnot, there's plenty of positions up to grab to get super spots for next year.
Compared to obviously when you were playing, Chibba, you know, we had the NRC and you were part of the original ARC. How does this type of thing, you know, this essentially now becomes the norm unless there's something else drastic happens? How does this compare to kind of when you were going through?
Oh, look, I think that the ARC is a good system, but there's probably an argument there for the club system's just as strong, and it already has this actions for you know, the sports clubs. As long as we keep building the club system, and these sort of competitions probably enhance that as well, and prove to the players that you play comp, there's a pathway to get to the Reds.
Benny, you got a question for your old teammate, mate?
No, I was just wondering how his calves are feeling after yesterday in the corporate 10s. I know he was doing a bit of water carrying himself. I just thought, is he pulled up all right? Is he okay?
They're tight, actually. I'm more worried about Ryan Freeney, who was capturing Billcourt. He looked like he was really sucking in the big one.
Well, it's funny you say that because we had every intention for Freeney to actually call in from the game, you know, have a chat to a few of the punters there and give us a bit of an insight of what's happening down at the field. And then he let us know just a few hours ago that he's asleep on his couch, and I don't think he's going anywhere despite the fact he only lives 5 minutes down the road. So I think that's a pretty good example of how hard he sent it yesterday.
I think his voice would be a bit scratchy today. He went pretty hard at it. But he had plenty of time, and I think he was in the team huddles before the games. He was banging on about discipline and everything, and I think he had the most yellow cards for the day.
Yeah, that sounds like Ryan Freeney.
And he was trumpeting it. He walked off and he walked past. He goes, mate, only 3 for today. I think I'm leading the comp. But, Chib, I want to talk to you about, obviously...
Well, we didn't win many games, but at least we won that.
I want to talk to you about, obviously, you most recently, obviously you played footy basically your whole career, and now you've moved into more of a corporate role. How's that going with Buildcorp?
Yeah, it's companies that, you know, when we talked about the Cup and it was that they came aboard as a sponsor to this. See a company like that still sticking with rugby and, you know, so closely aligned to it. You know, they invest heavily into the grassroots, but also like myself and probably that they've got a cadetship program as well. They're actually on the other side trying to help players into that next stage, which is good to see. So I think they're doing good things, and it's great for me to get a sort of a different aspect on everything. It's very different to the old rugby career, getting into the change rooms, and if you had a HR department, we'd be in a bit of strife. But you know, I think Bill Cook's a different beast. They're professional, and you know, it's been a slick operation. It's been good fun.
Good stuff.
Well, Chip, I want to ask, just from, as I was saying before, very storied career, playing at a few different clubs around in Australia and around the world. What would you say would be your highlight? As we said, all the way from schoolboy, you won that first 15 premiership in 2004. You won a Hospital Cup, a Super Rugby title. You've played over in Europe. Is there anything in particular that stands out as just being the pinnacle, the highlight of your footy career?
Oh, I think for me, individually, playing for your country is sort of what you always dream of, and that's what you always try to. So that's for me a highlight. I think in a team sense, it's hard to go past the 2011 Premiership with the Reds. That was just one of those experiences that will be hard to top ever. But with uni and terror, they're all right there. But if I is and Red Premiership.
Yeah, agreed. All right, well, Chib, thanks so much for tuning in, brother. We really appreciate your time and all the best with the move, mate. Hopefully Optus can hook you up with a bit of 5G sometime soon.
Thanks, fellas.
All right, cheers.
Out there as well, by the way.
I don't know. He's some old geezer.
Good genes, I tell you. You can tell that just by looking at him.
All right, cheers, Chibber.
Thanks, Chib.
Chibber Hansen, everybody. Round of applause. This is going swimmingly. I don't know about you guys, but this is going pretty bloody well. We can see here 12-0, Reds development already in favour. There's already been a couple of cracking tries, Dal, but I don't know if you saw it because you were on your phone a lot there. I didn't want to bring it up. But
Just trying to organise the next stuff.
yeah, I know, and I appreciate it, man. Someone's got to do it because I'm not. But there's a lot of chat, like we all know, number 13 down at the bottom right there, Josh Fluke, nudgy first 15 skipper. Aussie schoolboys and under 18 skipper that won that game over in New Zealand. Obviously made his...
Another try.
There's another try right there, Kalani Thomas, but makes his debut for Brothers in a major semi-final, and then he goes on to play for the Reds. A lot of injuries, but he is a superstar in the making. Like, I reckon he's already a superstar in my books.
Yeah.
I love it.
I think the most exciting thing about today is this is his first game back, obviously after
From his
5 months
shoulder.
off from a shoulder reconstruction. It's the second one he's had. Obviously the first one was the other side. I agree with you wholeheartedly. He's a smart footballer. He's a Conrad Smith type player.
Yep.
Extremely intelligent when it comes to getting around the park, but defensively he's exceptional. And I feel like, he's not far off. I don't know if he'll crack the squad for the next year's World Cup. You'd probably think he wouldn't. But up and beyond that,
Has to be, mate.
He's an international outside centre.
He is.
100%.
He is. I mean, we've got... Well, there we go. We've got Doss right in the middle of that huddle right there, actually. You can see Pat Morey there, vice-captain right there. Dossy, you there, mate?
Yeah, got you, boys.
Well, what's the word going on in the huddle there for the President's 15? 19-0, only 15 odd minutes in. Is it a bit grim, or are they all for it?
No, mate, still pretty upbeat. Pat Morey, he was pretty vocal in that one, and he wasn't in the last two. And he sort of said, "Come on, boys, we haven't had any ball. Let's go back to what we know." He said, "Let's not worry about Japan and playing for positions and being a bit selfish. Like, we're a team today, so let's refocus. Let's get the kickoff right." And there's Paddy there going in for this. Oh, he just missed it. But Seth's just put me off then.
He does that.
But he's a pretty off dude, to be honest. But the chat, no, the chat was very positive. They've defended this whole time. Obviously, a classy outfit, this development 15. Some really good early touches from Flukie. A good try there from Kalani, but they just need the ball. They just need to try stop this momentum, get the ball. We all know the attacking threats that they've got, so they've got a scrum here, 35 metres out. But no, still pretty positive.
Dossy, you'd say they haven't made too many mistakes. It's more been the good play of the Reds side that's that scored the points. So
Yeah.
I mean, you can take a positive out of that. They haven't made too many individual or team errors. It's just been good play from the Reds development so far.
And that's 100%. Like, they've barely had any ball, the Premier 15.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. I mean, a lot of their chat was around their folding at 1, 2, and 3 defensively, and just staying in it. As you guys have said, the Res development have done well to sort of build pressure through their attack, and these guys they've been together the last 3 weeks, so you can expect that bit of disjointedness and not really that fluidity there, but. Look, as I said, the chat was really positive. Pat Morey, Taylor Adams, and the other one was young Ethan Dobbins, really vocal in that huddle before. So hopefully they can start to turn things around. Oh, great hands there! Oh, look at Benny Navo. There we go, boys.
There we go.
Hey, look at that! Benny Navo! What an absolute gun! Literally, Dossie just called that. Hold on to the pill. And Benny, you were saying they weren't actually making errors. They just didn't have the pill. And
Yeah, and I mean, that's where they've got to, the leadership of the team's got to sit down and sort of point that out. Make sure the boys keep their heads up because they haven't done anything wrong. It's just, made it on the wrong side of possession. So
that's just pure gas from Navo, too.
yeah, that was beautiful.
Look at this.
See you later.
And to get around Floyd Aubrey, of all people, like, he leaves him for dead. Like, Ben Navasalangi, I know, obviously, you love him, J-Ball, West guy, but he's been club captain, but he's been in sensational form.
Unbelievable.
This year for West, but now he's coming into here. Like, last week, he was exceptional, you know what I mean? Scored a couple of tries himself, and again today, he's the first one on the pitch.
I remember a few years ago, it ended up being the final year of the NRC, but he had to have been right on the brink of getting selection, if not just for pure potential. Like, he was sort of in and out of first grade, but just absolute gun. And I think this year, uninterrupted from injury, making it the whole way through the season in a side that was bringing back like Vidogo, Vunavalu, Dalgunu and all this sort of stuff. He was one of the standouts. And that try right there isn't a standalone. Like, this is what Navo's done all year.
Yeah, and that's it. We saw it last week. We saw it obviously throughout the year. But he's just been so fantastic when he's got his ball in his hands. We saw it, and this was a changing moment in that grand final. He turned the game on its head and put it in favour of West. He just knows how to finish, and that's probably something we don't have a lot of in Queensland rugby.
But not afraid of the hard stuff too there. Like, straight off the bat, getting stuck in and then his back up. This one right here, mate. He is so sick. Such a balanced runner.
He is 100%.
Such a balanced runner, Benny Navo-Sailangi, mate. Like, I love him to death. He is so bloody good, man. But I want to get your thoughts, Benny. If you had a chance, Chib actually touched on it. Who's the mutant playing at 12 out there? Tommy Lucas, mate. Have you had a chance to have a yarn to Tommy about the QPR 15, President's 15, and not only that, this game playing, I guess, out of position at 12?
Yeah, I mean, I've chatted to him a little bit about it, and obviously I went out last week and watched the game. He's obviously really excited just to be involved and get a go against, some of these Reds guys and sort of, put his best foot forward and try and show, not only selectors for high honours, but, people that he can play footy. But again, like I was talking to you earlier, it's such a good opportunity for these guys to get out and play some good, play more footy at a good competitive level. And I know he's excited to play, and he's enjoyed last week, and I'm sure he's enjoying today as well.
But just on that, obviously, you talk about him being out there and wanting to impress and put his best foot forward. At the start of the year, he wasn't going to play. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think that sort of transition, you have to make a decision sometimes, and I know work was getting pretty full on, and he was sort of just had his bubba.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of life things sort of influencing, and he got a bit of got a call from Sunnybank, and I mean, that itch is always not far away, you know what I mean? And sometimes you just can't help but scratch it. And he ended up having a great year. I caught a few of his games when I came back from Japan, and he was playing really good footy, mate. And showing a lot of maturity, because he's sort of like, I think, 27 now.
Is he only 27? How
but,
old am I?
But yeah,
We're
showed some really good maturity in his game, and he's always been, I think, a very underrated footballer.
Yep.
But just had a really good year. I mean, just trying to, Sunnybank obviously had a pretty tough one as a team, but I mean, it was good.
Yeah.
Well, 2 years ago, he actually gave up sevens, came back to 15s, into a Sunnybank side that only a couple of years prior had been made the prelim, and then had hit some pretty tough times since. But 2 years ago, he was the best fly half in the competition, in a competition that was dominated by East and UQ and stuff like that. Like, that's no mean feat, but people may not know he's got a hell of a sevens career behind him.
Oh, absolutely, and he's probably one of the, I mean, like we always sort of joke around who's the quickest or who's the this or the brothers. Tommy's probably got us all by a good margin. And he's very good on his feet. He sees the game. He's kicking and everything's come along a lot as well. I mean, as I sort of said, he's a very underrated footballer, and I may be a bit biased, but I mean, he's still I think one of the best 10s going around in Premier Rugby.
Yep. Agreed.
And yeah.
And I think you're spot on. And obviously you guys are a wonderful bunch of excellent footballers, but he's one that always surprised me who never actually got more of a go. Do you know what I mean? At a Super Rugby level or in Japan or overseas, wherever it was, because, as you said, like, he's a sensational footballer. He's just so balanced the way he plays the game.
Yep.
Oh, Nabo! Again. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's good.
G'd up.
I mean, I think sometimes, especially when you do really well at 7s, sometimes you can get tarred with a brush that, I mean, he's a good 7s player, and you lose sight of the fact that they can still play 15s as well.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, as I sort of said before, Tommy reads a game exceptionally well. And, I mean, like, as a 10, what do you want? Someone that can manage a game, someone that's cool under pressure, and he's got all those skills, so...
And it's like, if we look at the Australian setup at the moment, and we looked at Quade when he came back and the difference he made, you know what I mean, with that experience and the slow motion. As you and I both know, when you get older, things start to slow down, but it's because you know what's happening. And that's essentially what I believe, Tommy could bring in an environment like this, as we see Navasalangi obviously over again. But it's that experience that teams need now.
What do they say? Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. You know what I mean? And that's exactly right, mate. And yourself as a 10... You learn your craft by playing. The more you play, the better you get. I mean, you see parts around the world, and you get that exposure from 7s as well. So it's, I mean, he's going all around the world, playing in different conditions, and you're learning bits along the way. So, definitely, like, as you get older, especially in that position, decision making gets better. You can keep a cool head. You can keep your team on track and manage the game as it should be done.
Yeah, that's right. 100%.
How good is this, though? Taylor Adams, watch this. Jink does what he does. Mate, he is a freak.
I want to make a call here. Navasalangi tours, goes to Japan, ends up contracted.
Loose. That's got the Tino's big tick of approval. Oh, yeah, that's a big shoe. That's his shoe-in of the day.
Mate, I'm not going to argue with what I'm seeing here. I'm not
I
arguing.
know.
You know what I mean? Like,
mate, just look at the man. Like, he just finished twice now. He's done a sensational job, but he's been... epic.
Well, like you said before, what's better than just someone who's quick and physical? And I mean, like, he's got he's playing well here, and he's, as you sort of say, anyone who's got a bit of toughness, balanced runner on the wing. I mean, it's invaluable.
Well, Dal, you were saying, I remember you said that.
Taylor
God,
Adams.
Taylor Adams.
Hasn't he made a difference?
Oh man, now my pants are chafing me. You were saying that as they announced this Challenger Series, they are taking what is a half a dozen players over to Japan. They've actually got an eye on a few key positions, don't they?
Yeah, I think obviously outside back would be one of them. If you look at the guys who are, aren't in the squad or aren't playing in these games, the Australia A players and beyond that, you know what I mean, and your Wallabies, outside back's probably one, back row, and obviously prop would be another one. That's where I reckon they're going to find or try and find someone in that space.
Hell yeah. We might try and get down to Dossie again just to get his thoughts, because it's been bang after the early onslaught from the Reds development 15. Dossie, you there, mate?
Yeah, I got you, boys.
Dossie, mate, what's changed? Yeah, we've got you, mate. 25 minutes in now. After 15, you're down 19-0. Now it's 19-14 after a good 10 minutes from the boys. It's exactly what you were saying. They just needed to retain possession.
Yeah, mate, that's exactly right. And they've got a bit of confidence now, mate. And just going back to Benny Navo, in the warm-up, Pilsey and Louis Wershon were hitting these box kicks, these helicopters. Mate, the Moth, Benny Lucas could hit probably the best helicopter.
Can hit a helicopter.
I've ever tried to catch. yeah. But Louis Wershon and Pilsey were just launching these pills, mate. And Benny Navo is jumping, and it's pretty windy down here today, and he's jumping up AFL style, 2 hands, just easy as you like above his head. And I was just like, man, this guy is a freak. And he's a lot bigger. I've actually never seen him in person, but he's a lot bigger than I thought as well.
He's tall and
mate,
rangy.
Another break. Yeah. as the President's 15 get another breakdown penalty, but they've just managed to hold on to the ball. You know, we talked about their backline, both of their opportunities there. The first one, obviously, a slick little backline play to get Benny Nava a 1-on-1, and then heads. Oh, you're good, Robbie. That one there, just the awareness of Coyotes and Pilsey around the breakdown, just keeping that momentum on the front foot, and then the vision of Taylor Adams, that ball over the top. I mean, they're settling into this game nicely, and I think they've got the experience in terms of, you know, the older heads over the Reds development team. So it'll be interesting to see how the development guys bounce back, this young crew, how they sort of wrestle back the momentum.
And your thoughts, Doss, as well. I mean, this, you sort of touched on it. There are actually, it's probably a more experienced President's 15 than the Development 15 for the Reds. But with the Development 15 for the Reds, that's more or less, we're really just trying to give these guys more game time before Japan, and then hopefully up to the Super Rugby setup, of course.
Yeah, that's right. There's your man there, Jay Ball, Connor Pritchard getting the turnover.
Love him.
But as you said, the Res development guys, like they've got a few exciting things. They've got the Tour of Japan coming up. You know, they've been training for a while, whereas on the other hand, you know, these Presidents guys potentially playing for a spot on that tour. But it's kind of like a last hurrah, finish off the year on a high. So they're sort of, you know, their motivations are a bit different at this point in time. But yeah, it's a you know, it's a young Res development team. Here we go, Tommy Lucas. Look at him waving the wand in the middle. Oh, sir. But
Yeah.
And I tell you what. I tell you what. The chat between the chat. I think that was double movement. But the chat from the two centers, Tommy Lucas and Dan Boardman, really impressed me there in that huddle. You know, Tommy's telling Pilsey, I know we're on top, but you know, when the ball gets here, can we just chill a little? Our guys aren't in shape. It's those little details around the game that, you know, we may not be seeing. Where, you know, this game's exciting. You want to see Benny Nava with the hands on the ball, but just and it might be Tucky's lack of match fitness telling Pilsey to slow it down. But you know, just that older, just that older.
The old
head
Mars
out
bar.
there. It's mate, really good to hear. Yes, exactly.
Work smarter, not harder, eh, Doss? All right, Dossy, thanks, brother. We'll leave you to it.
100%. No worries, boys.
Mate, this has been a hell of a game thus far, eh? Both sides are absolutely smashing each other. And it goes to show how much it means to them, Dal. I mean, look, there is a spot on the Reds Tour, as you were saying, Benny. There's an opportunity to go up to a higher level, to Super Rugby and so on. But at the end of the day, these are club guys who get a chance to smash other club guys, but also get to smash Reds players. Like, they'd be fizzing at the bunghole for it.
Yeah, I said to you earlier today, I mean, it's a competitive game, and it's, I mean, I know if I was back then, I would want to show the Prems boys, you know, I mean, exactly why I'm there, or, you know, I mean, the differences there, and those Prem boys will be looking to, you know, I mean, come and give a good, you know, I mean, get stuck in, get physical, and try and get one up on guys that are ahead of them.
But I also think, you know, these guys play together all year. You know, if you're playing against someone from your club, you know, I mean, might be a 9 and 10 combination. All of a sudden, you're going up against each other. You want to whack that person as well, you know.
Yeah, good bit of niggle.
It's good fun. Yeah, it's good niggle. You don't get the opportunity to do so.
There's nothing better than like good competitive spirit.
That's right.
You know how I am. You know, and
I was about to say, no, we had Will Gagnon in the studio earlier this year as well.
I think me and Will used to slow dance after every contact
They
session.
did. Absolutely did.
But again, it's what happens on the field. Yeah, we always stayed there, and like me and Will are awesome mates. But that's what you want, not only from your teammates, but the guys you play against.
Correct.
And if you're not getting tested, what are you there for?
That's right. You're not getting better, right?
This kid here, Tom Liner. How much do you know about him, Dal?
Well, I only know what I obviously see. Obviously, he's got some great pedigree, you know what I mean? His brother, his dad, all that kind of stuff. What I do like about the man is you can see he knows what he's doing, you know what I mean? And for a 10 at that level, you know what I mean? He knows when to kick, he knows where the space is. He's got his eyes and his peripheral vision up and beyond the line, which I think is probably the most exciting thing about him. But the other thing is he goal kicks exceptionally well.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of 90% or 85% goal kickers, and he's got that at the moment. So if we can physically develop him and work in that space on him, he's going to be sensational for us.
And on top of that as well, James O'Connor, he's actually had from that syndesmosis. Had a little bit of surgery earlier this year, and he's had. Speak of the devil, I was about to say with James O'Connor's injuries and obviously his age, Tom Liners, you'd have to say, going to be next cab off the rank.
Watch this pass from Josh Flute.
Josh Flute wasn't looking. Replay that, Zach.
5 months off, and to be putting passes in like this, it's just sensational.
Dow, get your dictation board up, mate.
The dictation. Dow's dictations.
Dow's dictations.
You watch him. He goes to the line here. Look at
Oh,
that.
wow.
Left-handed.
Mate. Josh Fluke. So sexy.
He is.
That was smooth.
Check this out, eh? But look at this. Intention, run hard unders on it. There it
You
is.
can see just there.
Mate, he is the absolute man, eh? He is the absolute man. But, as I was saying, James O'Connor, that syndesmosis injury he picked up down at Bond, I think it was.
Yeah, in the semi-final against
In the
GQ.
semi,
Yep.
which really stung him. And then he's had a bit of a clean-up and all that sort of stuff. And obviously he's getting on in age. He's had a hell of a career, but you'd have to say next cab off the rank has to be probably Tom Liner in the next year or two as a full-time, long-term option for us at 10.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you've got Lawson Crichton, who'll play a lot of football this year. Next year, played a lot this year. And then Tom's probably that understudy underneath him. Do you know what I mean? We're going to have our depth tested, do you know what I mean, from a Queensland Reds perspective. And those two need to step up.
But at least we're going to have depth. One thing that has been tough for a very long time is you look at sides, Benny, you'd say, look at that 2011 Super Rugby winning side, right? You know, that team was as deep as the Ganges in regards to talent, and that obviously helps drive, as you said, that healthy competition.
I think someone told me the other day, in that year we used 52 different players.
Yes. Yep.
And, yeah, I mean, like I just said to Dale, like, you want competitors within the team. Obviously, you don't want anything toxic or anything, but you want guys pushing each other. You want guys bringing the best out in each other. You know, I mean, you can learn a lot off the players beside you. They might be good at something. I mean, you might be good at something else, and you can learn off each other. And I mean, in the end, you want your team to do well, because if your team does well, more than likely,
you'll do well as an individual.
You'll do well as an individual. So that's got to be the priority for the boys, and they got to get in there, work hard, push each other to the limits. And you know, I mean, that's what drives a winning team, drives a winning culture. And yeah, I mean, the individual stuff will come after, but yeah.
And that's right. Like, you touch on it, and you don't want people who are, making the team worse. But someone like, Adam Burns, you know what I mean? When you were there at the Reds, he was someone who was always niggling, always this, always that, but always got the best out of someone else and tried to push people, I think, to that next level. Same as you and obviously Willie Genia as well. That's what you want in these type of environments.
Yep.
All the best teams do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about the All Blacks have been the best forever because they've always had. Like, there has been numerous guys who've played 100-plus games in Super Rugby in New Zealand but have never played for the All Blacks because it's just that competition. But without them, you don't have these other All Blacks going on and killing.
You don't have the guys like that. Again, and it just doesn't give you the opportunity to slack off or, put less than your best out there, because if you do, that bloke who's chewing at your heels is going to get your spot, and he may not let it go. Yeah, I mean,
hell yeah.
So, I mean, Damon Emtage always sort of said, train like your number 2 all the time.
There he is, Connor Pritchard going over for another meat pie. But before we do that, we have Andrew Swain from Stan. He's joining us right on a blower right now from Clubland. Swainy, how are ya?
Hey, boys, I'm good. How are you?
Living the dream. Dude, this is going so well. Sorry, I couldn't contain my excitement.
It's a bit of excitement coming from that.
Sorry, Swainy. Mate.
Very good, very good.
Thanks so much for joining us. Look, we've just seen Connor Pritchard go for another try now, but as we were just alluded to before, the host of Clubland throughout the year, you had your finger on the pulse probably more than anyone else in regards to club rugby in Australia this year. This right here, the Reds Development 15 versus Presidents 15, is absolutely awesome.
Boys, I tell you what, like, bad day to be a beer, isn't it? Because, like, you've got the races, you've got
You're telling me.
You've got Wallaroos playing over in New Zealand. You've got a bit of everything. I've just finished up with the Wallaroos game down at, and I'm in the Qantas Lounge now. I'm about to jump right back to Brisbane under 15s and 19s tomorrow. Mate, it's just a smorgasbord of footy. But I reckon this is one of the best. This Development 15 up against Queensland has been awesome.
Swaney, you've obviously been around for ages. tell us, your opinion on this type of a concept. We've had NRC before. There's always, talk about club is the way to go. At the moment, we've done it. The Rebels have done a little bit. Canberra's done it. New South Wales is starting to do it. What's your thoughts on the concept?
I just think you need more footy, don't you? So these guys need to be playing at this sort of level, an elevated level of footy from club rugby. Yeah, so I think more of it. We saw the Australia A playing against at that level of footy for those guys. So valuable, being able to go on a tour with a bit of test rugby under their belt. And then these guys are the next level down. They're coming through. They need to be exposed to that higher level of footy. So I think if we can keep coming up with ideas like this, every state probably needs to be playing these types of games at this time of year and putting more footy into these guys' legs to keep that development pathway running. And I just think more of it. It's brilliant to watch.
God, I love you, Swaney. You just everything you say is it's like a sounding board for the Pack Show, mate. We absolutely love it. But touching on that, Swaney, we saw just before this game kicked off, the Wallaroos getting up by 2 points, 2 red cards to round out the game into the 84th minute. That was an absolute nail-biter.
Yeah, it really was, wasn't it? And the win that the Wallaroos needed, they've come off a pretty rough run, haven't they? But keeps them in the World Cup now, which is fantastic. If they lost today, they would have had to rely on other results, against Wales next week as well. So, yeah, big win. 2 red cards. Again, it's kind of the World Rugby framework they're working under, so it is what it is. But they managed to hold on at the end in a real nail-biter, and great to see, these girls getting the dues that they absolutely deserve, and getting a win on the world stage. And this will give them confidence going against Wales next week, and then hopefully a quarter-final a week later.
Oh, we can only hope.
And Swain, I know you've got to go. You've obviously got a plane to catch, but, mate, who wins the Caulfield Cup?
Oh, you know what? I've actually got it. I don't know who I'm on, though. I put it on this morning before I started work. Very good question, though. I'm going to be watching that very shortly. Hold on, if you bear with me, stand by. I'm just gonna quickly. I'm just gonna check.
We haven't lost him, have we? Oh no. Tino wants this more than anyone. Before we went live, Tino's sitting there and I'm like, what's going on? He's like, Caulfield Cup.
I got you, Tino.
Tino's ears pricked up a little bit when he heard Caulfield Cup, eh? But while we're waiting... Oh, there he is. We can't hear you, Swaney. What's up?
That was terrible. That was terrible technology play from me. But Knight's Order wins the Caulfield Cup.
Knight's Order. All right, perfect. I'm on.
Right. Tino straight on his phone. Oh, man, that's good. Swaney, just before you leave us, mate, in regards to the QPR 15 or the Reds Development 15, is there anyone in particular you've, just as a whole this season, you've been massively impressed with in Clubland?
My favourite player in QPR at the moment is Taylor Adams, playing for Brothers, number 10, and I actually think that there's a real opportunity there for him at the moment with, James O'Connor looking on the injured side at the moment. There's Tom Liners there, but I reckon Taylor Adams is a real good shot to get an opportunity in a Reds jersey. I'd love to see him take the next step. So we saw that gun pass from him before for that try. Want to see more of that from him, and he's got the ability to play that next level. We've seen it before with the Melbourne Rebels. I hope he gets a shot.
Oh, agreed, Swaney, and his brother's boy too. I know you're going to love that one. But Swaney, mate, thanks so much for calling in. We really appreciate it, brother. Safe flight home.
Thanks, Swaney.
Enjoy, boys. Have a good one.
Cheers,
Go Knight's Order in the Caulfield.
On you, Swaney. Round of applause for Andrew Swain, everybody. One of the greats, that guy. He's one of the best blokes you ever got to meet, eh?
But it's funny, you touched on it then, and you said he's a sounding board, you know what I mean, for us, you know what I mean. We're obviously rugby lovers, and we talk about it and how we feel like the game can improve and all that kind of stuff. And he's exactly the same. Obviously, he works for Stan, he produces, he commentates, but we all just want to see the game grow, and we're all very passionate about it. So it's nice, talking to him and hearing his thoughts on the whole thing.
Well, it's good to know because he's probably got a better understanding of the inner workings of the game than we do, man. You know, like, I'm a 34-year-old labourer. Like, I don't really know the inner sanctum of Rugby Australia, but he'd actually have a good idea as to what can work, even at least from a production point of view.
Yeah.
So, mate, Swaney, one of the absolute greats. 26-19. It's a close game. You were saying, Benny, last week it was close at half-time, but then the Reds kicked out. That fitness kicked in, but still a bloody close game, which is good to see.
Yeah, it's good to see the boys rally after a few early tries put on against them. That shows a lot of character and, shows how much they really want to be out there and how much they want to win. They've done well to sort of get back in it and, hopefully... Oh, don't need that.
Has he just...
He's just gifted George Blake a try.
We're going to... Let's clip that because we might need to have a look at this one again. Tonga Blake picking one up. Look at that hairdo.
Can they see the time out there on the field?
You got to love that. I don't know what's happened there. Does it look like Paul Pill at the back and he's just spilt it?
He's tried to go out and he's tried to make a pass. He was under a fair amount of pressure. We watch again.
Maybe he didn't know like full time or something. Half time, sorry.
Yeah. I think Connor Anderson was pretty hard done by there not to get the turnover. He tries to get to the outside. Kalani does a good job and then just tries to offload to Nava Salangi.
Is that Taylor Adams?
Yeah.
Just as we were talking about. Yeah, right. That one's got to hurt.
It happens.
Look at this vision.
Look at that.
You can see what he's trying to do there. Get to the outside.
Bit of a bounce pass. Kalani Thomas coming in and then just spills the beans.
Probably just needed to cut the losses.
Just kick it.
And
just take it.
Kick it, put it down, end at half time. Go in there, boys. Have done well to get back in. But that's footy, isn't it?
That is footy. Well, that rounds out. It's half time now. 33 points to 19. Reds development over the QPR Presidents 15. I mean, you were saying as well, Benny, that they were good to fight back. But before we actually delve into that, we have Dossie on the blower, and I think he's got an interview with a very special member of the Lucas family. Doss.
Yeah, boys, I'm here with probably the best Lucas, the best of the bunch.
I expected it. I knew that was coming.
With mate Tommy, how's the first half, mate?
Mate, it was pretty frustrating, really. I don't think we executed the way we wanted to. Obviously, D. Murph penalised us out of that half.
I think the penalty counts like 12-1.
Yeah, it's hard to be on top, but the boys ripped in.
Yeah, mate, couple of good touches, nice little turnover led to that try. What do you guys need to do now to, fight back in the second half and maybe cause an upset?
Obviously, limit the penalties, number one.
Yeah.
But then just keep the ball in play. With our attacks working well. We just hold that ball and get some ball, play in the right end of the field, look after itself, hopefully.
Awesome, mate. Go with the team. Go hard second half.
Boys,
I tell you what. Sorry, you got me?
We got you, Dossie. What's up, brother?
What about Swaney just putting the absolute commentator's curse on Taylor Adams there?
We were just saying.
Absolutely stitched him up.
We've just been pumping his tyres for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, I reckon he could go on to the next level. Shit the bed. But Doss, I mean, Tommy was just saying.
Yep.
Yeah, Tommy was just saying that a lot of the things they were doing really well. Their attack was good, but their discipline has really let them down.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. I was talking to Brad, who's running the water for the Presidents 15. I think the injury count before that last try was like 11-1 to the Presidents 15, obviously. So I think discipline around the breakdown is definitely something they need to look to. But as we said, mate, their attack has been outstanding. They've had limited opportunities to show us what they can do consistently.
And 14 points down, 40 minutes to go. What do you reckon, Doss, that the Presidents 15 need to do now in the next 40 to come away with victory?
Yeah, I think Tommy just touched on it then. It's 100% their discipline around the breakdown. When you give away that many penalties, and I was having a little giggle to myself then. I was like, I've got the best Lucas out here at the moment and probably the worst Murphy at the same time.
I beg to differ.
That's fair.
Ease up, Doss. I thought we were good mates, mate.
Yeah, we are, Benny. We are, mate. It's just about that competitive spirit you talked about. It. Actually, let's go back to that. Benny talked about him slow dancing with Willie Genya, mate. We can rattle off probably another 10 guys that Benny had to slow dance with after every session.
It's true.
Quaid, Ben Daly,
Mikey
Burns was a
Mikey
given.
Harris.
Mikey Harris.
Kevy Hall. Oh, man,
Kevy
if you
Hall,
two of you,
well,
Honestly, out of the 52 guys that played in that 2011 team, I was the only one who probably didn't have to slow dance with Benny.
That's because I knew you couldn't throw, mate.
That's because you were scared of me. Mate. That's because you were scared of me.
Well, Doss, mate, we
as we sort of.
Oh, sorry, mate. I was just about to say, we saw last week the fitness of the QPR 15 was probably the thing that let them down. Do you think that in the second half they might try to restrain a bit of a prevent defense to try and sort of negate that lack of fitness that they might have on the Reds development 15?
Yeah, I think the game has sort of flowed a bit differently compared to last week. I think it's been a lot more stop-start with the amount of penalties, a bit more set piece. So hopefully this team, especially after last week's game, the President's 15 team, they're feeling a lot fitter going into this back 40. I know the messages from Craigie around that 25-minute mark was, don't go away from what we worked on during the week. Let's keep playing field position. And we saw then when Tommy Lucas turned it over, Pilsey looking at the backfield straight away, found space. Taylor Adams with the brilliant regather, and then Connor Pritchard going over. So I think with the with Cooper Whitehead on one wing, Floyd Aubrey at the back, and Joey Fiddick on this wing. Like, Joey's a seasoned back three player, but I think there's maybe a little bit of weakness there. And I could hear the boys talking about the Reds' wide breakdown not being as strong. So it's definitely somewhere that they're going to target. So with their attacking players, I would assume that they're going to look to go wide, and defensively as well, anytime the Reds go wide, looking to attack that breakdown.
Wonderful. All right, thanks, Dossie. We'll let you get back into the huddle, brother. We might step back in a little bit just to join you to hear what's going on in the huddle. But in the meantime, mate, that first half has been absolutely red hot. And Dossie sort of hit the nail on the head in regards to what they're saying. It's like they've been pinged out of the game, but their attack's been good, and their vision, Pilsy, like as we said, you got guys like Eli Pills and Tommy Lucas running the show, and Taylor Adams, and Dan Bourman. Their midfield is absolutely spectacular. Like, that right there is the sort of spine that can win this game easily for them now.
Yeah, and I think what you talked about those, if you just talk about, Adams, Boardman, and Tommy Lucas, like there's a lot of smarts between them, and they're understanding the game extremely well. So that's probably, between those three, there's just so much opportunity for them. And I think, if we take a look at a couple of the tries from before, but I think we saw last week that it was the fitness that was the end up, deciding the game. I think they'll be better for it. They've got to run under their belt. They won't necessarily, have that as much. So I think, it's going to be a close second half.
Do you want to get your little doodle board out here, Dal, and run through a few things? Good luck.
I don't know if I can.
Dal's doodle board.
I couldn't remember what we've called it. We've called it about 50 different things, but this was early on. This was the Reds development 15.
And the Reds were very good early on, right? They were very clinical, you know what I mean? Josh Fluke, obviously, great to see him back out there, but, Tom Liner did a terrific job at 10 and just was very instrumental.
This was the first real attacking opportunity for the President's 15, and, mate, they took it with both hands, eh? And now
absolutely.
Look at him in full flight. Oh, sexy
What's
stuff.
underrated there, too, I don't know if you can go back, but just look at the...
I think Dow can go back.
We can go back, I think.
Back? Just look at the...
Yeah!
Just look at the movement on the pass from, I think it was number 13 there.
This is Dow going back. Oh, yes, and yes.
Just go a bit further back. Just on this pass here. Jeez, that was a bit rusty.
I slowed it down for you.
Yeah, righto. But just look at this subtle bit of movement just off on that pass there. You know what I mean? That you get that little bit of space, and you got a quick winger like that. You know what I mean? That can really make a difference. But just little subtle things, and I think that's what they need to continue in the second half is, they don't need to do anything different apart from obviously the discipline, but they did enough to get points. So they've got to realise that and not push it too much. Just know they've got the ammunition and, the capability to score points. Just don't get too far ahead of yourselves. Keep it cool, and just the things you've been doing work well.
There's Navo's 4th try in the last week for the QPR 15. But you touched on it, Benny, as well. It was a very smart little in and away from Coyotes. It was a late bit of movement, but came just before the ball was passed. So bit in, then went out. We've got Elvie down here in the bottom left-hand screen. Let's just tune in and hear what Elvie has to say. We might have to keep a finger on the beat button just real quick there, Zachy boy.
Play fast footy and no numbers on back like we did 5 or 10 minutes of that half is absolute brutality at the breakdown. I just feel we're not fighting for our feet. Our support is just a second too late. Alright, so we're giving them the turnovers that we should be getting. Does that make sense? So let's just light the fuck up a little bit. Alright, it's the last game of football and let's play like it means something to us. Alright, you blokes haven't played all season together, I understand that. But today we're a team, alright? And in terms of our carry, in terms of our first support, in terms of our first tackles, that shit matters. Alright, every time you step onto that field, that shit matters. Clear on that. So we carry hard, we support hard, we play with a bit of whip, alright, and we'll get some pay for it. Sweet?
Jeez, I tell you what.
I'll tell you,
Get
I'm
me
pumped
out
up.
Does anybody else have a huge erection right now?
Throw me on, coach.
Mate, so good.
Let's fucking take it from them in the second half. So we've got to be the first team to score. We've got to play ourselves in a position of the field that we get the first lot of points. Let's ask the first question, right? And let's see what happens from there. Boy, energy, light up, let's go.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to run through a brick wall.
That's it.
But that just goes to show, lads, like, we were talking about it, this is just an exhibition game. It's an opportunity to play against your mates and all this sort of stuff. Granted, Elvie's Elvie, and, he'll fire up at the opening of an envelope, but, that goes to show these guys, they care. They are ready to rip in, and they want to just get out there and absolutely show what they can do.
Yeah, absolutely. But I look at it from the other side as well. If this didn't matter, Brad Thornton wouldn't be coaching. Right, he'd go to McKinnon.
Very true.
You go, Phil Blake, you come in. You guys just take over. Jimmy, you do your job. Brad wants to win as well. You know what I mean? I think that's the big thing. This matters to everyone, not just the guys coming in the Challenger Series. It matters to the Reds boys. It matters to everyone. You know what I mean? Everyone wants to put their best foot forward.
Hell yeah, man. All right, we're going to throw down to Dossie. Dossie, mate, we got a chance to listen in there with Elvie and Craigie. They were absolutely fizzing for it, mate. The boys are really amped up.
Mate, I tell you what, I've got my boots on running water. I was about to say, Elvie, get me a jersey, man. Mate, he's hyped them up, but I mean, his messaging was spot on. So what they're trying to do, they know that when they look the most dangerous is when they take the structure out of the game. So they've given free rein to their back row to really disrupt and try get turnovers. Because they know that if they can bring the structure out of the game, it'll give them the best opportunity to get back in and hopefully win.
And it's a bloody good sign. I mean, I was saying, do you think they might put the cue in the rack and really try to strangle the Reds with defensive pressure? But clearly their biggest, they obviously do at the breakdown, but they, as you said, they want to take the structure out and start playing more and more free-flowing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. In saying that, though, they understand that they can't do that from everywhere. So field position is definitely still paramount, and it's going to be the number one focus for the halves out there at the moment, Louis and Taylor Adams. But, when they do get the opportunity, it's about playing and defensively just trying to cause as much havoc as the breakdown as they can, which will be hard because, as we know, as Ratu's away, as Damon's, watching them real closely at the breakdown.
And you just mentioned him before, Louis Wershon. Dallin absolutely loves him. There's big raps on the kid from the sunny coast. Have you had a chance to watch him sort of in the warm-up or anything like that? What sort of vibe do you get from Louis Wershon?
Yeah, man, I've actually been watching him closely. I tell you what, kid's got a bit of swagger about him. He's walking around, he's just these little flick passes. He's kicking off both feet. He's got a bullet of a pass off the deck. I like the look of him. He looks really confident. So let's hopefully this 40 minutes he can really showcase what he's about.
He's got a beautiful flowing blonde mullet too. Wowee. All right, Dossie, we'll let you get back to it, brother, and we'll call you in shortly,
Keep
mate.
on top
Thanks
of those
for your time.
hammies, Doss. I know what happens when you get excited, mate. Just stretch them out, give them a little bit of active warm-up or something.
Don't worry. Mate, anytime I'm here, it's hip flexor stretch, just down into the hip flexor, bit of leg swings. Appreciate the advice though, Benny. I know you're always looking out for me.
That's it, brother.
All right, thanks, Dossie boy. We'll let you get back to it. Well, there he is right there, Louis Wershon. Dow, you were saying that reserve grade grand final was the best game of football individual game of football you've seen from someone almost ever.
Yeah, absolutely. He just took the ball by the horns, and in every key moment, they were down and almost out, and every key moment, specifically in the second half, he just wanted the ball in his hands. He was sensational. He was playing fullback, a bit out of position. He's naturally a 9, but 50-22s, kicking the goals from the sideline, you know what I mean, making breaks, setting up tries, scoring tries. He just wanted every moment. He ended up kicking
an 83rd minute field goal.
You know what I mean?
With no advantage.
Yeah, and just that's him. Aiden talked about swagger, and he's got swagger. He's got confidence. He's the type of guy who just, without being arrogant or over the top, he's just like, I want to play footy and I want to play, to the very best of my ability. He just continues to want to play footy.
And speaking of swagger, joining us on the blower right now, we have Channel 9 sports reporter Michael Atkinson. No, we don't. Oh, no, we don't. Jeez. The PAC show, ladies and gentlemen.
Segue.
Oh, no. We're trying. All right, thanks for that. Come on, Tino. What are you good for, mate? Stop having a punt on Caulfield Cup.
I'm on night's order, by the way.
Yeah, I can imagine you are. But back to the footy here. We've seen a few changes there. You've got Liam Musher on the field. Louis Wershon looks like he's in the mixer as well. Great to see some of these blokes in this red side. Matty Fezler, we love him to death, but and Keenan Tauakapulu, we saw in the back end of this year for the Doggies, he was absolutely awesome. So I expect to see him come out there. But he is that new brand of 6, massively athletic, awesome in the line out, massive motor, loves hitting blokes, just an absolute specimen in the back row.
Yeah, and I feel like in the back end of the season, as we see Tane Rory there go over on the right-hand side, we talk about, the new age of back rows. He's probably one of them, but Keenan Tauakapulu was one who's really starting to find his body. You know what I mean? He understands how big he is and the damage he can do. And I think, you watch him evolve over the next couple of years, it'd be pretty impressive.
Tane Rory, you just said as well, picking up that 5-pointer. He's another one. I think we alluded to, he got man of the match in that Colts drawn grand final, East versus UQ. He was absolutely wrecking blokes. And you said the same thing. Found his body, having moved over from West to East. He just seems to probably understand that he's got this frame that's well suited to really get in and rip into blokes.
100%, and he doesn't look out of sorts out there. We saw him last week. He came off the bench and he was impressive. And again today, he's got around the park really well. Got a try, and it just, it's exciting for not only Queensland as they're in the system at the moment, for Australian rugby. You know what I mean? We need that dynamicism in the back row.
And Tom Liner now.
Oh, yeah.
Nails that one from the sideline. You touched on it before, Dow. I mean, an 80+% goal kicker it's invaluable.
Yeah, we saw it from a Premier Grade perspective this year. Part of the reason why Bond University didn't make the finals because they didn't have a kicker. You know what I mean? And then we saw in the grand final, West were definitely the better side, but they kicked their goals. Whiteside didn't miss. Do you know what I mean? UQ struggled off the boot.
And a couple of weeks before that, Brad Twydale Brick had a shot, 22 metres right in front in an extra time to go straight through and didn't hit it. But let's try this again, shall we? Speaking of swagger, from Channel 9, we've got sports reporter Michael Atkinson. Has he just dropped out again? Oh, no, he's there. Atko, how you going, brother?
I'm out.
Yes, Atko, how you going, man?
Short sleeve Sundays. Short sleeve Saturdays, is it?
Go, eh?
Oh, yeah. Looking good. Very professional edge there, Atko.
That's that F45 fit, boys. That's that F45 fit.
Yes, nice. Good little
Dale's
plug
just
there,
said that.
Dylan. Yeah, that's what Dale's been doing on his phone the whole time. Hey, Atko, give us a shout out. But Atko, mate, thanks so much for joining us, man. We really appreciate it. How you been, mate? It's been a long time.
No worries. It has been a while. You guys have got a real Eli Peyton Manning thing going on here. I'm a big fan of it.
He gets it. He gets it. He gets it. We're not reinventing the wheel here, Atko. We're just making it a bit better. But
making it better. You're making it round instead of square. No,
that's it. Well, that's the PAC way. Square wheels. But mate, you're obviously you've got the finger on the pulse when it comes to all things sports, but a lot of people may not know your background is obviously in rugby. A Jeeps boy through and through, and you started out at the QRU. I mean, you've seen it all from inside the QRU and inside the greater sporting landscape. Things like this, the Reds Development 15 versus QPR Presidents 15. We've seen iterations of it in the past, but it's awesome and it's a great opportunity, not just for the players out there, but for a game as a whole.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think you speak to anyone in rugby, that everyone says that what we need more of is games. You know, I was actually at a conference early in the week run by Rugby Australia with coaches, GMs, CEOs, physios, S&Cs from all the state teams, all the provinces earlier this week. They all came together for a 3-day conference, and they're talking about how do we capitalise on the next 10 years, the golden decade as they're calling it, with all these big events coming to Aussie soil. And one message, one theme that kept coming up is we need to play more rugby, we need more competitions. How that looks, or what competitions they are, they'll work out in time, but this is a good start, isn't it? It's fantastic. You can see the standards still really high, and we're deep into October rather than the club season being done and dusted by mid to late August or early September. Guys are still playing quality rugby as we get towards the back end of the year. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it certainly is. Obviously, we've seen Australia A, you know what I mean? They've done a terrific job. They've now played 6 tests across 2 different competitions. And then we're seeing this, not just in Queensland, but in every other state as well. You know what I mean? What do you feel like is that next step? Do you know what I mean? Is it more games like this? Is it touring? Do you know what I mean? Do we bring back something else? But what do you believe, to be that kind of, that in-between between club footy, Super Rugby, and international footy?
Dal, I've spoken to you about this a fair bit. I'm a massive fan of some sort of national club competition. I think they need to elevate the club comp up to a national level. So once that QPR and Shoot Shield are finished and John Ident, etc., then a number of clubs from those competitions then go up and to play into a national comp. I think that can fill sort of the NRC type space because there's already existing clubs and support bases and all that sort of thing. If you're elevating, let's say, the 4 finalists from QPR this year, 6 of the 8 from Shoot Shield, or what is it? Do they make 6 down there? However many is down there. You elevate a few and you pick a couple from ACT, Victoria, WA, and you play a national comp. That fills that NRC space, I reckon, without having to try and create new brands and create new attachment to teams and all that sort of stuff. And I think it rewards the clubs as well. And then I think you have to keep the Australia A program. I think it's proved to be really, really beneficial. The 2 tours that they've done, that has to stay, absolutely. I think you put those 2 things in place and it won't take long. It'll start to translate at the Wallaby level as well.
Agreed. I mean, but there's a lot that goes into it, Atco, in regards to the cost of it and how that competition actually looks. But I mean, just we've got what I would say is a proven model right now with the Reds Development versus Premier Presidents 15, the Australia A program. You've got down in Sydney next year, they're having a North Harbour versus South Harbour competition in lieu of a larger national competition. At the very least, you touched on it. Playing more football like this, maybe at the end of every season, you have like a 3-match series, representative series. That's got to do a hell of a lot within the clubland space as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if there are costs associated with making a national club comp are a bit too hard to handle, at least in the short term, a little bit too much to bite off and chew to start with, maybe you do something like this and then you come together and even you have like a New South Wales president's side versus a Queensland president's side, like on the back of something like this. You use this as an extra selection platform, I guess, and you pick a Reds Challenger side and a Queensland Presidents 15, and you got a TARS Challenger side and New South Wales Presidents and so on and so forth. I just reckon the more rugby you can play is going to be better, but also if you expose guys to different players from different areas of the country as well, it's going to be better for the game.
Hell yeah. And Atco, you were just talking about the golden decade that they've said. Obviously, we've got a British and Irish Lions tour. We've got the Men's and the Women's World Cup. I mean, it's going to be absolutely massive for rugby in Australia, but I don't know if you would have a finger on the pulse in regards to what Rugby Australia as a whole is really looking and anticipating they can invest in. But is there anything that you've heard that they're really focusing on to try and put whatever money we do make back into the game and how that may look?
They've kept that pretty closely guarded, I think, because they don't want to get anyone too excited or sort of shoot off too early, a bit like you in the sack, J-Bor. So
It's true. It's true. Well, you said 10 years, not 10 seconds, but that's all good.
You're a dad now, mate. You know how it is. You just take it whenever you can get it.
Yeah, mate. Again, I only need 10 seconds, bro.
Exactly. Mate, one shot is all you need. One shot is all it takes. That's all it takes. But what they were really talking about the other day, on top of playing more games and getting that sort of competition up and running, is there's a big focus on putting more investment in coaches, which I think people have been moaning about or bemoaning the lack of in Australian rugby for a while now, like actually putting more investment in developing our coaches and not just developing talented players, which I think everyone in Australian rugby knows we need. So, I mean, that's a good sign. But, yeah, they're keeping it all pretty closely guarded. It was fascinating to talk to some of those people at that conference. And the guy who's like the head of high performance at Rugby Australia, his name's Peter Condi. He's come from the AIS, and I sort of quizzed him on that NRC space, and he mentioned a couple of times like a national club comp, sort of something like that. So I think they're strongly looking at something like that. I think everyone agrees that not having an NRC has been detrimental to the game in this country or detrimental to development in this country. So trying to replace it or fill that space with something is an area they're looking at pretty closely.
All right, Acco, we'll keep you on the blower real quick, but we've got Doss on the field, and he's actually going to interview the referee, Damon Murphy, as we speak, so sit tight.
Wow. Groundbreaking.
If he doesn't say who's the best Murphy...
Which one
Here we
do you want,
go.
Lindsay? Low one? What do you reckon? You have a spurt, mate. Yeah, low one. We're going to have to keep it right.
He's got to tell Damon that Tom Lucas was spraying him at half time.
No, please don't. The refs hate Lucas's
Boys,
already.
You guys got us?
Yeah.
We got you.
Yeah. The refs already hate Lucas's. Mate, Damon, first half, penalty count was about 11-1. Yeah. What were the President's 15 doing, in your opinion?
Just ruck infringements, mate. Hands
Ruck
past
infringements.
the ball. Yeah, off their feet, playing the ball, all that type of stuff.
Yep,
so,
and have they fixed that up the second half?
I believe so, yeah. I haven't lost many penalties, have I?
No,
We're watching, Murph. We're watching.
What's it looking like? Good?
Yeah. The boys are watching and they're happy for the moment.
Letting it flow.
And mate, your thoughts on this whole concept?
Oh, mate, it's awesome. It's good for us too, mate. Like, I know we always forget about the referees, but it's good for us to do some high-level stuff too. Like,
referees always need to have their voice, don't they? Always need to be heard, these bastards. There you go, boys.
Thanks, Dossie.
How about that for insight? That's incredible insight.
That's it, mate.
Cutting edge
We are
here.
right in the mixer here. We are
Told you.
revolutionising the game here.
Acco, I want to take it away from...
That's really cool.
it is really cool.
Acco, do your offices smell like rich mahogany like it does here?
Yeah. I have many leather-bound books. Leather-bound books. I don't know if you know this, Benny, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Oh, yeah. We do now, mate. We hear it all the time.
Yeah, we all saw you score 4 tries against Logan in the reserve grade semi-final 8 years ago, mate.
I heard that
Someone
story
tell
15
Dallin that
times.
Someone tell Dallin that in my prime I was as fast as Josh Collins. He won't believe me.
No, he wasn't. Anyway.
Did you want to think about that?
Okay, I want to take it away from QPR a little bit at the moment. Obviously, this concept. We will have a spring tour Wallaby squad name tomorrow, I believe. Obviously, it's an important, 5 weeks and 5 matches for rugby in Australia. Are you expecting any bolters? Are you expecting anyone, kind of outside of that already, 35, 40 players? If you are, who do you reckon they'll be?
Oh, I reckon Rennie would have really loved watching the Australia A matches against that Japanese 15. I don't know if you'd say Jock was outside that squad, but he's booked his spot for sure.
Has to.
You probably know better than anyone, Dal. Maybe you can have scoop on that. But he flew home early before the third game, didn't he? So pretty much there's your ticket. Probably Lungy Gleeson as well, I reckon. But you know what? After watching those 3 games, I'd have Mark Nwanganitawase on there for sure. I love that bloke. I just think he can turn nothing into something pretty quickly, and we haven't really been, apart from Marika, that consistent in our back 3 wingers and fullbacks. So take him over if he doesn't play. It's a good development opportunity. I reckon he gets a crack. I'd imagine they'll take Suliasi Vunivalu, but I'm starting to wonder whether Suli might benefit from like a full preseason under his belt back here in Queensland. I don't know.
On those points, is there someone, maybe it is Jock, but is there someone that you want to see kind of, dive straight into that starting 15 or 23 that probably hasn't featured in the last, 7 tests, 6 tests?
Is this a setup? Do you know what I'm going to say here?
No, I don't.
Jock.
Okay.
What?
Jock. Like, the fullback position's been so, it's just been a revolving door for the Wallabies for a number of years now. I don't think Tom Banks has absolutely locked it down in his pretty extended period there when he hasn't been injured. Who played there during we have Reece Hodge there. Tom Wright's not a fullback in my opinion. I think Jock gets first crack against Scotland over there. I think because there's been so much uncertainty, or they haven't had anyone who's really taken it with both hands and run with it, and he's been really good in that Australia A tour, and he's a specialist fullback. Give him first crack. That's what I want to see.
Atco, I'm getting some cryptic text here from Tino. He's just said here, tell Atco he has some competition for some juicy his next year exclusive of PAC Show. We will be bringing more breaking news next season. What does that mean? Wait, are you joining the boys next year, Atco, full time to help us actually break news that is true and not 60% true?
That sounds like a Ryan Freeney text message, to be perfectly honest. Tino, has Ryan got your phone, mate? I'd be real worried if he does.
I don't know. What's going on,
we
man?
need some of his pronunciation.
He's
got every last
to
name.
so many OnlyFans right now.
Yeah.
Look, nothing's been put to me in writing yet, Jay Moore, but
not enough zeros, mate.
Yeah, every man has a price, and mine's usually a free F45 membership and a couple of bags of biltong.
I'm happy to part with that, mate. Dow?
Absolutely. But before you go, Ako, and just finally, obviously, we asked Swaney before. He talked about Taylor Adams, and he said that he's someone that's really impressed him this year in Premier Rugby and feels like he can go to that next level. What about someone from your perspective who can go to that next level and you'd love to see, move into a red squad or a squad elsewhere, within Australia?
I might have said Taylor Adams too until he dropped that ball on the try line and the Reds development 15. Good try. Can we get Benny Lucas back in Australia? Is the Australian dollar still is the currency rate
It's coming
still
back, mate.
positive against the yen or what?
We spent 15 years trying to get him out, mate.
We just realised you had to turn off all the lights. That's how you get rid of them off.
Yeah, that's it. Acco knows me too well.
To answer your question, mate, I'm a big fan of Ethan Dobbins, and Australia doesn't have the strongest list of hookers. And it's one moment, but that try he scored last week at Sunnybank, the athleticism from a hooker, that's exciting. And speaking of Dave Rennie, he hasn't mentioned Ethan Dobbins specifically, but what Ethan showed in scoring that try is something that Dave loves to see in his hookers. So I'd love to see Ethan get a crack at the next level, and maybe even his club teammate who's playing for the Red side today. His name's just absolutely gone in and out of my head really quickly.
Connor Anderson.
Connor Anderson. Yeah. He's a mammoth, mate, big back rower, and he's been toiling for a while. I like to see guys like that get a chance. So if it's not the Red squad, I hope some of the other states are watching this and give those two guys a crack.
Agreed. Well, Atco, mate, thanks so much for tuning in, brother. We really appreciate your time calling in. We'll try to get something on paper. We'll put an extra couple zeros behind that one, so you'll be making $100 next year. But, mate, we really appreciate your time, your insight, and hopefully we can get you in the Season 2 PAC show next year to actually give us some level of legitimacy.
Professionalism.
Professionalism.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for. That's what we're lacking.
Can I sit on the couch with Big Fat Das and Freeney?
You can sit right between them after they've had an F45 session, mate.
I don't know if you want that. I don't know if you want that, mate.
Nah, it's been a pleasure. No worries.
Awesome. Thanks, Acko. Have a good one, brother.
Here's that guy.
Yeah.
Michael Atkinson, everybody. Acko's one of the greats, eh?
He is a good lad.
Oh, mate. He is an absolute legend. Professionalism. Hold up.
Benny gets it.
Professionalism have 2 Fs or? I'll just write prof. That'll work.
Prof.
But he actually hit the nail on the head. There's a couple of guys out there that we do want to have a look at. And we'll have a quick look now when we get the chance. We might be able to bring up some highlights of Ethan Dobbins throughout the years. Tino did the highlight package, and he actually said what's that?
Now it's probably prime time. He just got a turnover.
Oh, bring it up, Zachy. But Tino was saying, he's like, last week you thought Dobby just that highlight was a one-off, but it's not, mate. Like, he's done this all year. He has been phenomenal. I mean, that UQ game in particular. But look at him. His pace and his ability to get his hands free and his ability over the ball is absolutely awesome. But look at that. Like, he's got some serious toe for a hooker.
He does, and obviously he started off as a back rower, coming out of school, and what he's been able to, and I know you hate it, when you take players who weren't necessarily, career hookers and you move them into that position. But what he's been able to do over the last 3 years, moving across the West, is that development of his set piece. You know what I mean? He's a good scrummager now. He's not a great scrummager, but he's a good scrummager. He's a good thrower, and he continues to work on that. He's obviously got that ability to get around the park really well, which we love. He's never going to lose that. But if he can get that set piece right, I reckon you'll see him in a Super Rugby squad within the next year or two for sure.
And what do you think, though? I mean, we've seen Matty Fessler go up into the fold, like from the Clubland fold. I mean, Atco was like, hooker is probably in the Wallaby level, a position we do have a few deficiencies. Lockie Lonergan's done brilliantly over in the Australia A fold, but if you look at Clubland, hooker is one position where we actually have a lot of depth. Mahe Vailanu, the Kent Catchpole medalist from a couple of years ago. You've got Matty Fessler having come through. You've got Dobby who's coming through. Like, there are some hookers that are coming through Clubland that have really bright futures.
100%, you know what I mean? And I think you've touched on Ethan Dobbins first and foremost. You got Cam Flavel as well. You got Fessler. You got Asiata, you know what I mean? All those type of guys. Like, I think at the moment, you know what I mean, Ethan's probably a little bit unlucky not to be in there, but you've got 3 really good hookers there ahead of him anyway.
Connor Pritchard, God, I love him so much, eh?
Unreal.
Oh, he is just an absolute beast, man. I love Connor Pritchard with all my heart, eh? Another guy that Atco actually spoke about was Connor Anderson. So, Connor Anderson we saw this year was Alec Evans medalist, grand final winning skipper. Like, I mean, look, Latu Talakai was the man who held up the trophy, but he did it alongside Connor Anderson, and he has been a toiler in the club rugby space for, you'd say, over half a decade, 5-6 years. He's been a genuine starter but the last couple of years he's taken his game to another level. He's beefed up, he's got his head screwed on, and he's been killing it.
Absolutely. Obviously, he started off at Norths. He made the move nearly 4 years ago to Wests. And since he's done that, his game's gone to another level. Again, he understands how big he is. He's a smart footballer. We saw in that grand final on a couple of occasions, a really intelligent play, talking to the referee on a few occasions. But he's been sensational. And again, I hope he's one that tours and then on the back of that picks himself up a contract somewhere.
And his back row position that the Reds are looking for extra players, do you know of? Or do you think maybe it might be in a different, club? Or
I definitely think there's potentially opportunity at the Reds. It might be at an entry level, but I think there could be an opportunity, whether it's for him or someone else. They lost a few, obviously, with Lucan and Angus Scott Young. And you got a few guys who would come through the system and it's their first year, like the Kean Tiakapulus and the Wilson Blyce and that. But, you know what I mean, they need some experience. And so whether it's here or somewhere else, I think opportunities will present.
All right, we're going to throw it down to Dossy Boy once again. We'll see if we've got him on the blower. But, Dossy, you there, mate?
Yeah, boys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Doss, mate. It's now only a 12-point ball game. The boys are doing pretty bloody well to stay in the fight.
Mate, they're doing really well to hang in there. I think the pressure, so we can see Ethan Dobbins go for another turnover there, but the pressure that they're putting on at the breakdown has been quite noticeable. I mean, there's been subs come in from both teams, so that cohesion sort of come out of the game, and it falls into that lull that it naturally does throughout most rugby games when subs do come in. But mate, they've kept within striking distance, and we've still got 12 minutes to go. So you never know.
And is there anyone coming out of the coaching stables with Elton, Craigie, or LV? They're saying anyone in particular from this Reds Development 15 to maybe keep an eye on who could start to blow the game apart in the final 15?
Look, not really. I haven't solid in there.
Whoever put that kick in, keep an eye on him.
Yeah, no, mate. Lawson Crichton he's a tough kid. He's straight up. Although I think it looks like he might be disguising it really well. He looks pretty hurt. But yeah, lovely little touch there. And, Sammy Wallace, I think he's been pretty good today. He's been really industrious, really busy. He's got a lot of Adam Korzik about him. The old Reds back rower, very similar in their look, but mate, he's getting through a lot of work today and rewarded there nicely with a nice little meat pie. Mate, Tommy Liner, what about this goal kicking? Unbelievable. I know Dale's touched on it, but man, it's windy down here, as I said before, and half of his kicks have been from the sideline, and it just doesn't look like missing.
He's sensational. Obviously, it's one of his skill sets that he excels in, and it's great to see him being able to do it at that next level.
Yeah, 100%. I think we touched on it before with Swaney in terms of that 10 position, maybe a little bit up for grabs. Rabs, as we know, he's he's struggling with his ankle. I mean, I'm a big fan of Lawson, and and the two guys today, Taylor and both Tommy Lucas. I think just that older head, and with Tommy Liner coming through, there is a bit of depth there and some competition, which is good to see.
And also, Tommy Liner's been out there for the full 70-odd minutes thus far. It's got to be good for him to be able to get a lot of running. Yeah! Sorry.
Good tackle.
What were we saying? Oh, yeah. We've seen Tommy Liner's had 70 minutes straight out there today. For a player of his age and ability to be able to get out there and spend 70 minutes alongside the boys would be invaluable.
Yeah, 100%, and he really hasn't looked out of place. He's he's taken the ball. He's taken the ball to the line well. He's made his tackles. He's been quite impressive today. Without being outstanding and grabbing the spotlight, he's just done those little things well. Which is why the Reds Development find themselves with 50 points on the board. And boys, we've got Ethan Dobbins on the sideline here, clutching at a knee. We've got Doc Day Cullen doing the classic ACL test. Let me see. Has it got an end point? Yep, there's a nod there, so it doesn't look like it. I'll go in when things have sort of settled down, and I'll get the inside word for you guys.
Yeah, if you could, Doss, that'd be awesome. It'd be an absolute ball ache if we saw Dobby go down with an ACL. But Doss, just touching on the game out there today, we've seen the game was sort of last minute earlier this week, was transferred from east over to north. How's it been out there? Is it a decent crowd? Does the crowd seem G'd up for it all?
Yeah, mate, it's actually it's been really brilliant. It's slowly sort of built up that hill in front of the North Club, and we've got film here, Rob. We've just the batteries flat on the camera, so we've just got audio. But mate, the hill's full. Everyone's sort of been involved in the game. It's been really enterprising. Some of the chat that I'm hearing from around the grounds is that this Challenger Series is definitely something worthwhile, and they hope that it's something that that the QRU and Premier Rugby continue with moving forward.
That's absolutely awesome.
got Ethan's just walking past me, boys, and he looks in a bit of pain. Hang on, I'm just trying to get some footage for you. Hold on. Nah, nothing.
Nothing. No, all good, Dos. Well, mate, Dos, we'll let you finish off the last 8 or so minutes out there today, mate. We'll get you in just after the game wraps up.
Sounds good, boys.
Cheers, Dossy. Oh my God. Oosh just absolutely smoked Floyd Aubrey. And Pat Morey looks like he's down the background too.
Like he was in trouble.
A few tired legs out there by the looks, boys. It could be because of fireworks.
Geez, there's been some serious shots out there today. We saw Connor Chittenden before get an outside-in shot, and Josh Fluke only a few minutes in absolutely sniffed at someone as well. But, mate, the standard of footy, 73-odd minutes in and still going hell for leather. Dude, they're doing pretty bloody well, Benny.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's always these minutes that count, and that's when the subs, I mean, their contribution to the game really matters. They've got to come on and provide an impact, but not give away penalties, not disrupt the flow of the game too much. But it's, as you said, it's been good running rugby. Just on Tommy Liner again, I mean, he's showed good poise, hasn't he? He looks like he's got a good level, calm personality on the field, and that's hard to do, especially as a youngster. But yeah, he showed good poise out there today, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing that he does have is that poise and that ability to understand exactly what he's doing. Obviously, he's got work to do, and he's he's only very young, but it's impressive to see at that age.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Brick Twydale throwing a bit of a stinker there to Coyotes. Look, 19 odd points. We've seen two high scoring games these last 2 weeks, Dow. Do you think 19 points in the final 6 odd minutes could be a bridge too far for the QPR 15?
I think so. I think if you just look at the state of the game at the moment, everyone's pretty tired. We're seeing a few mistakes creep in. I mean, I can see this potentially being a little bit too far for them, especially if the Reds are able to find the line here.
What are your thoughts on the law variations there, Dow? It seems to have sped the game up a hell of a lot.
I think it's great. I think obviously we saw last week, I think they talked about 39 minutes in ball in play, which is, crazy statistics. It's an extra nearly 10 minutes. Compared to what we're used to, and obviously the more time we can get in play, the better it is, because we're trying to attract more people to the game and we want to see the ball in play as much as possible. So I love it. I think it's great. I think it's forward thinking, and I think it's evolving the game, which is what we need.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you always have to look at your rule set and, what's attractive to not only play but to watch. And I think, any changes we can make to make it more enjoyable for both the players and fans alike, that steps in the right direction.
100%.
So, yeah.
Mate, these guys are smashing the hell out of each other, eh? Mate,
it's great.
Saw Jake Gutfield just put an absolute shot on there, and I think number 23 for the President's 15, I think that's Tyler Campbell was getting stuck into it as well. Tyler Campbell, mate, he is the man, isn't he? Look at him.
He's so big up top. It's like this big brick.
It's
got these
so
little
good,
legs,
man.
just this big brick.
He's kind of built like Greg Eastwood.
He is exactly built like Greg Eastwood. He's not as rotund. He's not as round.
Sort of that Fred Flintstone body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like ching, ching, and then just his feet sticking out the bottom. It's so good,
Just
mate.
a walking barrel.
Speaking of a barrel, Ratu Vio Batipasanga. It's so good to see him back a couple years ago, absolutely killing it. And he's had a couple quiet years of injury and all this sort of stuff, but started to get back into it this year. Made him in full flight is one of the best things in club rugby.
He's 80-minute player as well. Like he can just go and go and go and go.
It's good when a player has that sort of game fitness. Like whenever I think of someone like that, like Georgie Smith, mate. Like,
yeah, that's right.
Just, I don't know where he gets it from, but he just go all day. You know what I mean? And just comes up with those plays. When your team most needs it. When everyone else is tired, they'll do something. So.
And it's a mind frame thing that few people have.
Yep.
And there are guys who you don't know how they do it. They might have a sloppy rig, but they tend to be able to do it.
That's it, mate. And
it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it comes with playing too. Like the more you can play, you know what game fitness is. Like you can do a big preseason, whatever, it'd be million bucks, but that first game always
it doesn't
always has your tongue hanging out, and
That's right.
Well, you can see there, Ethan Dobbins.
It's like a medial.
Yeah, it looks inside there, doesn't
with
it?
his knee iced up. I think at the very least, if it is anything, hopefully it is something just medial and he can rest up over the off-season, but it would be a stinger if he does miss out on a shot to Japan as a result, but we'll see how it goes. One thing I wanted to, Benny, we've got you here actually. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't actually know. I mean, they'd know obviously your professional career, but your clubland career all the way through at the Sunnybank Dragons. You've got 3 brothers who all did the same, but a lot of guys wouldn't know. What year was it? Was it 08 when Sunnybank, 08, 09, Sunnybank won? 07, 08?
No, 07 and 11.
And 11.
Yeah.
And was it 07 the one you played in where you racked
Scored
up
50 points?
Yeah.
50-odd points?
Nice segue, like that.
But a lot of guys wouldn't actually know that. You've actually got the record for the most points in a Hospital Cup grand final.
What was it? What did you win by?
It was 87-15.
And how many did you score?
And I think I got 35 or 37.
34 or 7, yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Pretty ridiculous. But that was a pretty litzer Sunnybank Dragons side. I think you had both Rodney Blake and Greg Holmes come back from Reds duty,
the
and
legend,
your skipper actually had to come off the bench.
The legend Ollie Ave, who, I mean, you know how good Ollie was.
Yeah.
We had a really good forward pack, and obviously Digby sitting there in the backs, but just a side that played together the whole year. And as I said, I'll say it a million times. Yeah, I mean, like as a youngster coming out of school, just playing club every week. Was so good for my development. I had Timmy Sampson outside me, who's he's probably the only player I know that gets angrier than I do. But like just old heads combined with young guys, and we just had a really good culture and click as a team, and it was a amazing year and obviously a pretty freakish final. I don't think it'll ever happen again, but
not unless you pull the boots back on, brother. And one thing that's I think worth discussion is, and it does suck to say, but the fall of the Sunnybank Dragons. I mean, when Sunnybank Dragons are good, they are phenomenal, and they have really gone off the boil over the last few years. I don't know if you've got an inside track or any inside knowledge in regards to what may have happened there, but.
I think a lot of it comes down to recruitment, and it can happen to any club. I remember when I first left school.
West were good. They weren't for a bloody long time.
But yeah, West weren't bad, but like UQ had a off few years.
That was shocking.
You know what I mean? Like, and that was unheard of for them because they usually get the pick of the crop. Like, as far as schoolboys leaving and whatnot. And I think. When you do have a couple of off years recruiting, it can set you back. And, not only do you lose some really talented players, but you lose a little bit of that club culture. And I always sort of say in any team sport and most organisations as well, culture is my number one thing. It drives everything. So I know they're putting some really hard work. Reggie Armstrong is, he's doing some really good things with a long-term, fix in mind. And I know everyone's committed to getting back on track, but I think it just came down to a couple of years of tough recruitment, and then you lose a lot of stuff because of that. Whether it's a bit of culture, those talented players who are from around the area but just go to other clubs because it's easier, or there's it's more attractive or whatever it might be. But as I said, they're really trying to make steps in the right direction, and I think over the next years, if we can, start small, build, start with that culture, a lot of things will flow on from there, and we'll get back to our greatness.
And rebuild, right? You got to start at the bottom,
it.
And that's the big thing. Like, we've seen it, not just at Sunnybank, but we've seen it at Norse and other clubs like that. Like, they're trying to, patch it up, and they're trying to buy players at the top end, which it needs to be a balance of both. You need to recruit, and you need to get good cults through, whatever that takes, figure it out, but then also bring in from the top as well. So it kind of mean.
Yeah, I mean, short-term fixes, they might, they might sort of put a Band-Aid on for 1 year or whatnot.
That's right.
But as I sort of said, Reggie's looking at some long-term improvements. Not only with recruitment, but facilities and coaches as well. We mentioned earlier trying to develop some new coaches, not only in Queensland but Australia. Like, it starts in club as well. Like, and it's hard because there's not a lot on offer for those coaches. It's a big time commitment.
It
for
is,
not
away
much
from their families,
reward.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's a hard thing. So it's a fine balance in improving that. But as I sort of said, I think we're going in the right way, and hopefully things get better. Hopefully, we get a few Lucases there and we'll be able to put the jersey on all at once.
I was literally just about to ask if you could get Zachy, Tom, Matt, and yourself all back at the Dragons next year. Would you put the boots back on?
Oh, absolutely, mate. I would put them. I'm going to probably try them on anyway if I'm back around. But no, like it's always been it's a well pointed out dream of all of ours to play together, and whatever it might be, just bringing back me for 20 minutes off the pitch or whatever it might be.
Bit of Friday night.
But a Lucas, little backline move.
Jeez, that'd be good to see.
It'd be beautiful. And as I said, hopefully one day we can realise that. But yeah, who knows?
Yeah, because talk about it like 07, you've been 2 years out of school. What is this, your 15th year of professional rugby? Is it?
Well, I went straight out of school into the Reds program, so...
You're 17, 18?
Yeah, 05 I finished, so whatever that is.
Wow.
So, I've been around. And I've seen a lot of things, and, it's been good to come back, and, you miss a lot of what goes on, especially at Clubland and stuff when you're sort of back and forth, so... But it's good to come back this time and see matches like this, see things on the improve, see, some importance back in club rugby, because, I'm a big advocate. It's where
that's right.
Where I started.
That's what
And I think it's as soon as the clubs get a bit more, importance sort of thrown back to them, and those players then have that loyalty and drive to sort of play well at club, play good for their clubs, and the clubs sort of reciprocate that. I think it's it can't hurt. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And speaking of, mate, I was one of the biggest Zachy Lucas fans for the longest time. I mean, his rugby IQ was ridiculous. Even as a 19-year-old over in Argentina at that Under-20s World Cup, things like you'd watch the Wallabies. Oh, we're doing this exit play, and no matter what, they'd flog it long. And the winger would be standing there, catch quick line out, whereas he would see, oh no, it's easy to put a little, and I'm like, that thing, like he'd put in a 20-metre kick and it lands in space, the contestable goes out instead of just flogging it long because you have to.
Yep.
And I was like, this kid's got the brains. And unfortunately, he did, during the pandemic, signed over in Japan. How's he going over there? Is he enjoying it?
Yeah,
playing
he's
a lot
loving
of footy?
it, mate. He's playing a lot of footy and he's learning a lot. He's playing against some really good guys. And he's really been...
He's with Rico, yeah?
Yeah, it's with Rico, and he's been really embraced by not only the people, but his club, his coaches, and he's learning a lot and having a lot of fun. So he's doing really well. And, very happy sort of that he made the decision for himself. And, he's doing really, really well.
And you touched on it before off air. You talked about, young fly halves and young ball players and all that kind of stuff. You want to make sure that they're developing, and he's getting that over there under Peter Hewitt, and obviously Matty's there, and Matty's helping coach as well. But he's getting that development, which is what we want to see. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no one way to get to where you want to go. Some players, like I've seen players that have had no love in Australia and gone over and had some of the best careers overseas possible. So everyone's journey's different, and as long as you back yourself, and I think, as I sort of said, you play a lot of footy, especially in those positions. Playing footy is the best thing you can do to improve, learn your craft, get better, and that's what he's doing over there, and he's enjoying doing it. So,
good, mate. That's awesome to hear. Hopefully, we can see him back in Australia sooner than later, because, mate, I reckon he's the sort of bloke that would absolutely kill it over here in Australia if we did get him back. But here we go, full time, 57 points plays, 36. 2 weeks in a row now, the Reds development. I think their fitness starts to pay off at the end of the day there, Dow. But again, high scoring affair, two sides that went hammer and tong, and again, I'd say another successful bloody game of footy.
Yeah, certainly. I think obviously that the score is reflective of the new law variations, and then the ball in play and the expansiveness, and I think that we've seen over the last couple of weeks, and the fitness levels, obviously, from both sides not being used to that. But ball in play has been sensational. We've been seeing some exceptional individual performances, and probably a few guys have booked their trip, or their ticket on the plane to Japan for that tour. And I love the concept, and I think it's been extremely successful.
Well, I can't help but think. I was going to say, I mean, who do you think probably has booked a ticket? You've already said Navo.
Yeah.
Has to have stamped a ticket to Japan. But is there anyone else, both of you guys, Benny, Dow, that you saw maybe today or even last week, you think probably has put their hand up for higher honours?
For me, I think if you look at Nabasalangi, obviously won, you know what I mean? Connor Anderson, do you know what I mean? Maybe someone like Tane Rory, do you know what I mean? Someone along those, along a little bit more development, who's got that ability to go to that next level. They want to see him go again at another level. There's plenty of guys like that, I think, who've really stepped up.
Benny, anyone that's
absolutely.
of put their hand up for you?
I mean, I think Tommy Lucas.
Wait for it.
No, there's as Dale said, there's been a lot of good individual performance. I think, I mean, it's you got to have your team do well to sort of put your hand forward like individually.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, both these teams have shown good, I mean, chemistry, and they've played well considering, they haven't been together that long.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, I mean, fingers crossed for all of them because, I mean, I know how much every one of them would want to be there, and yeah, best of luck to them all.
Bloody oath. Now we're going to kick it down to Dossie, standing down on the field with Taylor Adams. Dossie, mate, how's it going down there, brother?
Yeah, boys, you got me?
We got ya.
I'm here. Yep, here with the 5'8" for the President's 15 today, Taylor Adams. Mate, how do you find it out there today?
Yeah, it was probably a little bit faster than we're used to with the Hospital Cup. So, it's good to just be back out there playing some footy, especially against, the Reds and those boys there in that squad, just to give ourselves a bit of a test there, see what it's like at that level and that pace. So, the lungs were definitely hurting that first 20, but once we got into it, it wasn't too bad.
And how did you find the new law variations? Did it change how you guys approached the game?
I don't think maybe so much how we approached it. I think it just changed up a little bit in game, just sped that game up, made it a little bit faster. I think we were conscious, with the balls out or something like that, those quick taps just to keep the game flowing. So, I think there were some good variations in there. Still a little bit to be worked out, but it definitely sped the game up. There was less set pieces or resets and that. So those little things that really helped, I think.
Awesome. And mate, the PAC boys, we've loved having you up in Queensland this year. Obviously had the butcher stripes on, had a really good year for brothers, rewarded. Playing in the President's 15. We've tipped you to go further. I mean, was the Japan thing, was that something, the opportunity to go on tour, is that something that you thought about coming into these 2 weeks, or is it something that it was just take care of itself?
No, honestly, it really wasn't. Even just getting picked in the President's Cup, I was surprised by that, and then I just wanted to come here and enjoy another couple of weeks of footy. We obviously finished, and it gets to the off season, you sort of don't know what to do with yourself. So it was good to be able to come back and play some footy, and it was in the back of my mind, but it wasn't really a big focus. It was more to come out here and just try to perform and have some fun with the boys as a team. So you never know what can come from it, and always trying to push for higher honours, but we just take it for what it is, and it was good to just be out here jamming.
That's awesome, bro. And enjoying living in Brizzy?
Yeah, don't mind. I wanted some more sunshine this year. I've just come straight into rain.
We bring the Kiwis over there, buddy. They bring it with them, mate.
Appreciate it, my brother.
Yeah, all the best.
Thanks, boys.
Well, boys, we'll keep cruising around. Let's get Connor. Can we just have a quick chat, man? We're just live with the PAC show. J-Ball, mate. Don't get too excited in studio.
I love him.
We have got.
Tell him I love him. Tell him to take his shirt off.
J-Ball wants to let you know that he loves you, man.
Legend, thanks.
But mate, Connor, how would you compare the physicality of today's game compared to Hospital Cup?
I think the physicality is pretty much the same. Obviously, there's a bit more bigger hits, but it's more the speed of the rucks. And for me at the breakdown, if I miss that first chance at the ball in Hospital Challenge Cup, I can get that second crack. Whereas here, if you miss it the first time, it's gone.
They're pretty accurate. Yeah. And mate, tell me as a back rower, obviously the first half penalised you guys a fair bit around the ruck. As the number 7 and the on baller for the team, does it change your mindset when you get that many penalties early in terms of how you approach the rest of the game, or is it just business as usual?
I kind of don't go for the ball as much, and I read what the referee is telling me to do. It's very important to listen to the ref, what he's telling you to do. If he says hands off, you've got to listen to him, otherwise he's penalising you. And it's just communicating to the rest of the boys, telling them, look, listen, let's get the hands off at the breakdown and let the sevens do their job. So it's more telling the other boys to keep hands off the ball.
Yeah, mate, that's awesome to hear. You have been one of the guys that we've loved to watch the whole year, and mate, fingers crossed, and we'll all be supporting you, and hopefully you're on that plane to Japan, hey? I think you've done enough, but we'll see.
Hopefully.
Awesome. Thanks, Connor.
Thank you.
Bear with me, boys. Let's see who else we can snap up.
Dossie's on a rampage.
He's good. He's good for pumping the tyres,
Look who
isn't
we've
he?
got here.
Oh, dearie me. There's
Look who
the
we've got here.
black caviar. Is that black caviar? Is that black caviar?
Your son with Benny Lucas.
Oh, yeah.
With the PAC show. He's in studio.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So you're having in there?
He is.
No.
He is. He
For
is.
now.
So we, guys, this is an absolute PAC show exclusive. We have got the king. We've talked about them all today, the Lucas boys, and here he is, the head of them all.
Oh, yeah, just got off the throne.
now, Philly, I've only got one boy, Sonny.
Yeah.
I've got another one on the way. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl.
Right.
We've got.
You only got a few more to go.
What is the recipe to getting the, just the star-studded boys that you've developed?
You've just got to hope for a girl.
No, but mate, what do you think about how did young Tommy go today? I thought he was brilliant.
I thought he did pretty well.
Yeah.
I was very happy with him. I think he plays pretty solid game.
Still got those competitive juices flowing, hey? Angry at the ref as all the Lucas boys
Yes,
get.
mate. Did you hear him over here?
Yeah.
Doss, ask him who his favourite is. Who's his favourite?
Him for swearing.
Hey Philly, we've just got a question coming in. J-Ball wants to know who's your favourite son.
Zachy. We all know it's Zachy.
It's Zachy, apparently.
Yes, Joe, well, thank you for that one.
Benny's saying Zachy. Benny's saying Zachy. I think Philly's going to remain pretty diplomatic here, boys.
Very neutral.
Yeah. Switzerland in this situation. Thanks, Philly. I'll keep going around.
He is a legend.
I'll come back.
He is an absolute legend. Dossie, while I've got you though, mate, we want to ask you a few questions just in regards to the game. I mean, you had an opportunity to put the Waterboys bib on. You were mic'd up. You were able to see the inner working of it on the other side of the ball. How'd you like it, mate?
Oh, mate, it was awesome. I mean, as I think, who was saying it before, but it happened to someone, I think it may have been Dallin a couple of weeks ago, I think it was the grand final when he was calling it. You sit here and you see the boys get amongst it, you're running the water out, and you're like, fuck man, just can I have a jersey? You just want to contribute, and you just want to play. And you get your feet, itchy feet, you want to get out there, but mate, it was brilliant. I think the last 2 weeks have been brilliant. This Challenger Series is definitely something that they have to keep moving forward, and getting to see the likes of Taylor Adams, Ethan Dobbins, Connor Pritchard, mix it with the guys who are already up there in the Reds, in the wider Red squad. So brilliant concept, and let's hope we see more of it.
Agreed, Doss. And mate, is there anyone in particular you thought today, Doss, was absolutely fantastic? Like who do you think was best on ground for both sides today?
Interesting question. I mean, it's just watching the game from a totally different, I'm trying to find things and look at things that you might not really notice on film. Hang on, we've got Steph and Dizzy. Come over here. Oh, hang on, boys. Hang on, come over here. Look who we've got here, boys.
Oh, a couple of
Veteran here, the Dizzy's hander.
Veteran's a nice word for old.
I wanted to bring these guys on camera to make me feel a lot better about myself. No, but so we're live. We're live with the boys back in studio. I'll just ask you a couple of questions. Well, first of all, Seth, you've just come back from an ankle injury.
Yeah.
The last 2 weeks, mate. How's the ankle?
Yeah, it's good. It's still bits to work on, but
yeah.
I think it's more the fitness than anything. At the moment, my lungs are terrible, so yeah, ankle's all good.
Yeah, and Dizzy, mate, back at the old stomping ground. How did it feel? I know you made the shift earlier on in the year.
Yeah, made the shift, but it's good to come back here.
Yeah.
It's such a good family club, and it's good to come back.
And how did you guys find the game today?
Yeah, it was good. It was pretty scrappy towards the end there.
Yeah.
There was a good, quick start.
Yeah.
A lot more ball in play, we thought. So
and the last 2 weeks, it's pretty good concept, hey?
Yeah.
Putting this together.
Really good concept.
Yeah, definitely something we want to see moving forward.
Yeah, it'd be good to try and properly train for it though.
Yeah. The poor they've only trained the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, 100%.
Just tell Seth he's got to keep himself in good nick all the time, mate. He's a professional athlete.
Ball and play a lot longer. So
Yeah.
I'm around it. I'll get around it.
And Japan tour coming up. You guys will probably been given orders from Marshy to stay away from yakiniku, hey? No, boys, you guys better go join the huddle. Cheers, mate, bro. Appreciate it. Yeah, we'll have a chat after. Yeah.
Marshy will have the mini can out at dinner time.
All right.
All right, Dossie, mate. We'll wrap it up with you, mate. But it's been absolutely awesome having you down there, man. We really appreciate your insight with it, mate. It's been world class being able to get that level of insight into it, mate. But we'll leave you to it and have an awesome afternoon. It looks like it's going to be a belter afterwards.
Awesome, thanks, boys. As I said, like this, I think what we're doing, it's brilliant. I hope it gets received well. I mean, you know, what we're bringing to the game, it's definitely something different. You know, I hope the higher powers, they can see value in what we're doing, what the PAC show's trying to do. And, you know, we're all, Alan mentioned earlier, and you guys have said a few times, we're all in this together. We're just trying to grow this beautiful game of rugby. And I think this aspect to it is something that hasn't been explored at all yet. So hopefully, you know, we're entering some groundbreaking territory, and it's something that, you know, we can do more consistently.
Couldn't have said it better myself, mate. Doss, that was awesome. Losing all by himself. All right, cheers, Doss. Have a good one, brother. Thank you.
Tell him to get in the photo.
Aidan Toller, everybody. Round of applause for Big Dossie, mate. That was. Look, did anybody else was anyone else about to cry then?
Yeah,
the words he was saying as that image of the Reds Development 15 and the QPR Presidents 15 all huddling together for a photo. You've got the management, you've got the coaches, you've got the doctors, you've got the players, you've got the kids. That's what it's all about. And with the little montage over the top from Doss, mate.
Yeah,
that was like tearjerker.
And that's right. Like I think he summed it up exactly how we all feel, and I think he's spot on with it all. But beyond that, you know what I mean, this is something that needs to happen. Rugby forever has been something that's just stayed at a very similar level. We need to start to evolve it. We need to move past it. We need to bring it into the generation where we currently are. We need to not just have, you know, the older people at the top. We need to start to engage the younger generation. And this is how, you know, you're going to do it by evolving the game and bringing something new to the aspect of it. And this is what this is. Law variations that are creating a faster game, less scrummages, less set piece. And I know that's an important part, but it's ball in play. And this is, you know what I mean, been terrific today.
And Benny, I mean, we were waxing lyrical just before about the fact you've literally been in a professional setup since school in 05.
Half his life. 17
years. Literally half your life, as you said, Dal. I mean, this is something completely different, but, I mean, you'd have to say it starts, and I think you touched on it before, it does start at Clubland.
Absolutely,
it does.
Absolutely. And you got to, like Dal just touched on it there, you got to be innovative. We can't just accept, you know, and see something done well and then try and do that. We've got to come up with new ways to look at things, do things, and I think, I mean, if you reinvent, you don't need to reinvent the wheel or anything like that, but get back to what's important, give people what they want to see, I mean, make it a pretty game to watch like, it was when I was sort of growing up, and I mean, we're on the right track with this sort of stuff, and hopefully it continues.
Well, look, as the sun sets over North Rugby Club, so does the sun set over the very first season of the PAC Show. 2022 has been absolutely phenomenal in the studio here at Double Take Sports. I just want to give a very special shout out. Obviously, Benny, you've come in. You were a guest early this year. You're back in Brizzy. You've come into the studio and you've helped us out in our very first live simulcast call of the PAC Show. You were helping us round out the finale for this year. Dallin, Doss as well. We've got to give him a shout out. But the guys behind the camera, I mean, so many people help us make it what it is. Big Tino over there. The big goose. He's just chilling back, gets all our highlights ready, helps with the run sheet, helps get Nani Lamapi on the show, and we couldn't have done it without him. You've got Zach on the ones and twos. I mean, for those at home, you don't see Zach. He's a big, tall ginger with humongous feet, always walking around barefoot. But, mate, what he can do behind that humongous set of 4 computers is absolutely amazing. And we wouldn't be here without him. I mean, literally, we wouldn't be here today without him. He was the one that got it up and running. He's the man with the vision. He's got the expertise to get over the line. So Let's give a round of applause to Zachy Boy on the ones and twos, because if it wasn't for Zachy Boy, we'd be sitting in a dirt gutter somewhere just doing the same shit, different smell. But then there's also everybody else. We've got the Kill Switch and Big Fat Dastard. As much as I like to hang a lot of shade on them, mate, they do bring something. I don't know what it is. Friends today didn't bring much, and Big Fat Dastard, we don't know where he is. Haven't heard from him, but they're absolutely awesome. So let's give a round of applause for the Battlers bench for absolutely killing it this year. But look, on behalf of everybody here at the Pig Athletic Club and Double Take Studios, I just want to say thank you so much to everybody for tuning in this year. Our first season was absolutely red hot. It was absolutely awesome, and we can't wait to bring Season 2 of the PAC Show to you next year. It'll be kicking off nice and early just as Super Rugby goes. Hell for leather, but oh man, it's going to be good and we cannot wait. So, my name's Jay Bohr, and as we sound it out, we're going to give you a little bit of a highlights package from the year that was for Season 1 for the PAC Show. In the meantime, stay safe, enjoy your rugby. Ciao, we'll see you next year.
Hey, Will, so friends here. I haven't really thought of a question, but mate, loving what you're doing this season. Keep it up.
Cheers, Franny. Means a lot from you.
I'm surprised we didn't shit the bed more than we actually did, because to be honest,
panicked. I'm not gonna lie, I panicked. I was sitting here, I couldn't think of a question. I was like, oh, what do I ask him? What do I ask him? Like, I don't really have a question, mate. I love you, mate.
You're awesome. Friends looks like.
Go on.
Yes.
I like this. Here we go. Into it. Munster, but fat.
The penguin.
Oswald Cobblepot.
From the new one.
Not the new one. The new one's got too many scars.
No,
Yeah,
Danny
fucking me,
DeVito.
man. Danny DeVito.
That's worse.
Quirky Dow, how are you, mate? Good?
Gonna let him answer.
Yeah, good, thanks.
I watched last week's show, and did you get that off Freeney's script?
What do I do with my hands?
Yeah, mate? Literally, just a little story. I saw Friends. I was driving down Abbotsford Road, not down that deep, seeing Friends down that deep of Abbotsford Road, but I actually saw him coming out of the sushi shop there on Oriole Road, and he didn't see me, but he had, I'd say, maybe $120 worth of spring rolls.
So what, 4 plates?
And it was in his work gear, and I was on the horn, Friends, and he would have waved, but he was, mate, chock-a-block, had the neck and the hand hold on the spring rolls. So, Friends, it's good really good to see you, buddy.
And I think you guys got the ball and just passed it you guys nearly scored off it, I'm pretty sure. Was it that one? Yeah, you made the break or whatever. The way you're running there, and everyone just looked gassed. The forwards were just gassed. Everyone was gassed. How's that?
Where are you going with this, friend?
Are you good?
Just do it real fast.
It's on the blower. We have the golden girl herself, Demi Hayes. Yeah. Oh, shit. Sorry. Yes, Demi. Thanks so much for joining us. Congratulations. How does it feel getting that Commonwealth gold?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's nice to be home, be able to celebrate with a bunch of friends and family. But after winning it, we kind of got kicked out of the village pretty quickly, and now we're back home in Sydney.